Hello everyone, today's April 28th. It is day 570. I can't believe I'm even saying that that's the number of the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. And unfortunately, we still have 59 hostages in Gaza. 24 of them are still believed to be alive. Yesterday, and you guys will see this video soon, I was actually at a sort of like public sing-along concert in the memory of these 6 hostages that were murdered in the Hamas tunnels. And so you can see that even though that happened a long time ago, there's still a lot of sadness, and they're still fighting for those that are still there. So their agenda, even though they don't have someone that they love still in Gaza, is still for the rest of the hostages. But we have that going on, and a whole bunch of drama continuing between Bibi Netanyahu and the head of Shabak, Ronen Bar. And it says here, Rosh Berosh. In Hebrew, it means sort of head against head, sort of butting heads, or like face-to-face confrontation. We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to cover the Memorial Day of Israel. Memorial Day comes on the sort of heels of Independence Day. And it says here, She'en kever lifkot alav, when there's no grave to cry over, about the hostages, the families of the hostages that don't have even the bodies of their loved ones to cry over on Memorial Day. Let's get into all of that. It says here, Hatatzhir shel Netanyahu's deposition, me'id beikar alav. It sort of testifies mainly about him. We're going to go sort of, like they said in the title, head to head, what Ronen Bar claims and what Netanyahu claims. What's happening now is that Netanyahu basically tried to fire Ronen Bar, and Ronen Bar is hitting back, and also the High Court is saying that is unlawful. You can't just fire him because you want to. And so now they are bringing both of them, their depositions to the table, and let's go through all of them. Before we start that, it's important to understand that the claim here is that Netanyahu is basically saying that Ronen Bar was the greatest liability to Israel's intelligence regarding October 7th. Ronen Bar is hitting back, basically saying that Netanyahu is trying to cover for his crime. So they're basically playing like a blame game. So the first claim of Ronen Bar is that the Rosh Hashanah, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, expected the Shabak, the General Chief of Staff, to act against the protesters, and that he will basically gather information about them in ways that were not lawful. Netanyahu says in return to that he never asked any unlawful conduct to be done against the protesters. Here, Bar claims that Netanyahu told him that in the case of a constitutional crisis, he should obey the head of the Shabak should obey the Prime Minister and not the High Court. Netanyahu says there is no remembrance of that or evidence of that in the transcript that I told him that. Bar claims here that the claims that there was prior knowledge in the hands of the Shabak about the massacre of October 7th, and that they didn't update the Prime Minister, are false. He says on the night of the 7th of October, the Shabak did basically wake up the whole system to warn them about it. Netanyahu hits back and says that Bar's basically blindness is the biggest intelligence failure ever. And that he was the one that basically caused the systems to sort of be asleep, that he prevented action and didn't wake anyone up, literally wake anyone up, because it was the middle of the night. They claimed that there were many signs throughout the night, and yet by morning nothing was done. And so you can see that they're really going head to head. And I want to show you guys the caricature because, as I told you guys before, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to basically fire him. Bar says without cause. And so you can see here in this caricature, Benjamin Netanyahu on the right side with his deposition, Ronen Bar on the other. And Ronen Bar is saying, Acharecha, after you, telling him, he should be the one to exit first. So if you are a person of faith and a person of prayer, pray for this. A lot of people feel sort of disturbed by this for many different reasons. One, because they don't trust the government. They might not trust Ronen Bar. But when you see sort of your own country fighting and battling within itself, when we already have so much turmoil around us, it's a very hard thing to deal with. It's like an inner conflict within your family. And so please just keep these two men, these two humans, in your prayers, and remember that they are in a position of authority, but they are also just humans. Human beings have pride, human beings make mistakes, human beings are flawed. So keep that in mind when you're praying. And now to a different type of turmoil, one that we still don't have a solution for, is that we still have hostages' bodies in Gaza, which it's a very heartbreaking thing, because there's something that comes full circle for a person when they have, the body of a person to bring to burial, a place physically where the remains of their loved ones are. And it's very hard to mourn when you don't have that. It's sort of, this sort of vacuum in people's lives. And so it says here, we need to commemorate et Yom HaZikaron, Remembrance Day, Shel hayekarim shelanu al kivram, of our loved ones, of our dear ones, on their graves. And you can see here the pictures of the families of the hostages or fallen soldiers, that their bodies have been taken hostage in Gaza. And some of them, they have sort of like a headstone, like a tomb, but that tomb is empty. So how it works in Israel is that you have Memorial Day, and then you have a siren that sort of ends that day, and then you have Independence Day. So the dichotomy between that very, very sad day and then Independence Day is very strange. And so people are already having a hard time going from, great, great sadness to suddenly celebrating our independence. But it's even harder for those who don't have the bodies of their loved ones to even mourn for. And so the mother of Staff Sergeant Oz Daniel Merav, she says, this day doesn't feel different. It sort of basically sharpens the pain, but for us that's a routine, meaning she is always in this mourning. The son of Aryeh Zalmanovich was one of the older hostages that were taken on October 7th. You can see him here at a tombstone, but that tombstone is empty. And he says, Boaz, the son of Aryeh Zalmanovich, says, I never imagined a day where I would have to commemorate separating or saying goodbye from my father on Yom HaZikaron, on Remembrance Day. So sort of you have the day in which that person passes away and you mourn on that day, but you also mourn on Memorial Day. And you can see here, Aryeh Zalmanovich, his body is still in Gaza. Here you have the son of Eitan Levi, his name is Shachar, and he says the fallen hostages can't speak of their pain. So we are crying out for them because they couldn't. It also says that because he doesn't have where to mourn for him, he goes to the exact place on road 232 in which he knows that he was taken hostage from there, that he was kidnapped. So you can really tell that they're feeling very sort of lost, not just in this war and in their situation, but when you don't have a body to mourn for, and also in Judaism, it's really, really important for us to bring back the body and return it to dust. As it says, from dust you came, to dust you return. And so a lot of people don't know exactly how to mourn, especially now during Memorial Day. I want to give us just a little bit of perspective when it comes to the hostages, because when you guys are watching this, you might feel just a little bit far removed from it. Maybe it's not happening around you. You don't know hostages or hostages' families. But I was looking here at one of our prior newspapers and noticing something. My name is Oriel, and it's sort of a rare name in Israel. Usually people, if they have this name, they're called Uriel. And we can see here Elkanah Buchbut, which is actually, he's a hostage that's from the very city that we're filming in right now. And he's, calling on the phone. Supposedly, of course, it's a Hamas propaganda video, but he's talking to someone named Uriel. And actually there was a hostage that fell in Gaza, and his name was Oriel. And because my name is such a rarity, to see my name next to the face of a hostage, it really changed my perspective, and I had to look at it and sort of imagined what would it be like if it wasn't his face there, but my face? What picture would my family submit to show them that I am hostage there? What if, at some point, instead of asking, bring her back home, they would write something else like, she has fallen, or it's just a very hard reality to deal with when you know that these people aren't just, faces, they're someone's loved one. And so actually, Elkanah Buchbut, you can see a lot of signs in this city. And sometimes, people here, because they're local, they will bump into, his wife. She will buy things from here. And so the whole community comes together for the sake of Elkanah Buchbut. So when you are praying or when you are thinking about the hostages, think about them as if they are a family member. Think about them as if they are you yourself. What would you want people to do to get you out of that situation? And that's really taking politics out of the picture. You don't need to agree with everything the government does in order to support the hostages returning. And so that might be some good perspective if you're thinking, how can I contribute to this? How can I think about this differently? Think about it as if it's someone that you love. And now, of course, we're going to end with some really good and inspiring news. It says here, Mitnadev Sug Aleph, first class volunteer. It says here that amongst the 120 male and female outstanding IDF soldiers that will stand in front of the president's house for the ceremony for the Day of Independence, one of those outstanding soldiers is Staff Sergeant A from Arad, who is on the spectrum. He was exempt from his military service, and yet he was adamant that he wanted to serve, and he became a technician in this war. And he says that he's very, very excited, and he said, I wanted to serve in the military of the country, and I am proud of it. It actually took a bit of time for the military to know how to integrate people on the spectrum or people with special needs that want to be in the army. And so actually their predecessors, people that were on the spectrum, they would come and sort of pave the way for them. And this is one of those instances in which they're being honored. And actually, because of their unique giftings as people on the spectrum, they can do things that other people can't actually do. During the war, they actually, some people who are on the spectrum, because of their unique ability, they would show them maps in Gaza, and because of how they would sort of see things and patterns, they could tell you where there was an underground tunnel, which someone that doesn't have that unique point of view can't do that. And so there is definitely a place for people on the spectrum in the military, and it's such a wonderful thing to see. So good job to Staff Sergeant A from Arad. We honor you and we thank you. And we thank you guys so much for watching. Comment where you are watching from. We try to answer all of your comments, and we're grateful for you here. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and the subscribe button. And of course, if you want more Israel-related content, go to allisrael.com, and we'll see you guys in the next one.